Hey, all right. So in this video, my goal is to chat a little bit about pacing and training programs. So I got a great question about what to do with training and how to choose a pace for changing your times. So for instance, if you have a 2K time, how do you make a good training program and guide for rowing a 5K? So that's what I want to cover in this video. So let's get started. Okay, so for a 5K, it's longer than a 2K, which is longer than a 500 meters. The goals are a little bit different in that a 500 meter is more of a sprint type of thing, whereas a 5K is more of an endurance activity. You're going to be working different muscles, different goals, a little bit more cardio. You're just going to be working your body in a different way for those different times and those different paces. So that's something to keep in mind while you're doing this. So to start, let's talk about going 95% effort. So this is 95% effort, meaning you are almost going all out with your workout. And then I'll talk about kind of changing that training down the line a little bit later in this video. So for a 95% effort workout, the way I would recommend starting is with a 500-meter row. Set your monitor so that it's 500 meters, so that it will stop right at 500 meters. And then row 500 meters. Row 95% effort, give it most of what you've got. And then look at the monitor screen and you can actually press some buttons. And if you have questions on that, feel free to comment below and I'll make sure that I cover that for you. But you can go look into the memory of your row and see the 500 meters broken up by 100 meters. And this will vary depending on what machine you're on. A Concept 2 should definitely do this. If you have questions about your rower, feel free to comment below or reach out to me and let me know. But you can look at that 500 meters. It will break it up by 100 meters. And your goal is to see how consistent were you. Can you row very consistently, keeping the pace the exact same throughout, or are you kind of up and down? Your goal for rowing is to be able to start to get very consistent, regardless of if it's 500 meters or a 5K. So you want to be able to have control over what your pace is. If you're not sure what the pace is, go ahead and check out my other video. A link is in the comments so that you can understand the numbers on the machine, how you impact them when you row, and how you can gain control of these numbers. That's a great starting point. If you are already familiar with those things, then keep listening, but it will get a little bit more complicated than usual for me in my videos. Or in this video, it will get a little more complicated. So make sure you understand those numbers coming into this video. So for that 500 meters, if you see my 100-meter pace, or for each 100 meters, make it so that the units are 500 per 500 meters, not calories per hour or anything like that, and these numbers will start to make sense. But let's say your first 100 meters were rowed at a pace of 150. Your second was 155. The third 100 meters was 2. The fourth was 205, and then 210. Your average in those would be 2 minutes. So your average per 500 meters was a 2-minute pace, meaning it took 2 minutes to go 500 meters. Now, when you take that pace, the 200 meters, remember this is at 95% effort, so you're working really hard and almost going at max effort. So when you're looking at that, then what you can do is row let's say I'm going to row a 1K, so 1,000 meters. How do I make a goal from that 500 meter pace to the 1,000 meter pace? So the way that I would do that is take that average pace and add 4 to 6 seconds for that 1,000 meter pace. So let's say my average was 2 minutes. I would want to stay as consistent as I can for my pace for a 1,000 meter at 2:04 to 2:06 minutes, which would be my pace for that 1K. Now, if I wanted to take that 500-meter pace and translate it to a 2K row, I would go a little bit higher to 8 to 12 seconds. So my goal would be to hold it between 2:08 and 2:12. That might be my goal for a 2K. Remember, this is at 95% effort. So once you have a 2K time, that's a really good way to kind of take the pace from that 2K, because a 2K is a almost max effort. It's a good baseline row to do roughly every 6 weeks. But take that pace from your 2K. So let's say, and I'm going to change the numbers just to make it easy for me going forward. Let's say your average for the 2K was 2 minutes. Okay, so I know it's the same as the 500 meters, but again, just making math easy for me in this video. So let's say for the 2K, my average is 2 minutes per 500 meters. That would be my average pace. Now, if I want to row a 5K, maybe I'm going to go up. So I'm going to go even more slow. And this time I'm going to go roughly 8 to 12 seconds slower. So now my pace for a 5K would be 2:08 to 2:12 for the 5K. So taking those different numbers and knowing those paces and how to control them can help you make goals. So a 5K is another common race distance. So really being able to stay consistent or having that average be in that range for those rows. So if you're a person who tends to go all out at the beginning and at the end or in the middle you tend to plateau, then having paces like this are a great thing to help you be able to stay on track throughout your row. Now, we talked about 95% effort, but all your training rows should not be at 95% effort. Some of your rows, maybe you want it to be 70% or 80%. And this is where knowing your goals is really important. So what is your goal for rowing? If you're in my Facebook group, and people ask for a training or a workout, one of my first questions is, well, what's your goal with your rowing? Like, is it to lose weight? Is it to make a world record? Is it to get a personal best? What is your goal with your rowing? Because that's going to help impact the different workouts and the training plans. So if we take a half marathon or a marathon runner, for instance, they're not doing the same run all the time. They're not just running for distance consistently where, oh, let me just go run for 10 miles. Oh, let me run for 10 miles. They need goals and different things to work different muscle groups and different parts of their body. And work their body in different ways. So if I'm going to go for a row for a 5,000 meter row, if I just keep doing that same thing over and over with no goal, then how do I know if I'm improving? One. And two, I don't have goals throughout to be able to have something to push towards. So it makes it harder to actually improve. So knowing your goal is really important. And if you're not in the Facebook group and you want some help, go ahead. The link is below. You can join. I'd be happy to help you out, but that will always be my first question. So if we take whatever your goal is, different workouts will help for different things. So for instance, in running, there's tempo runs, there's endurance runs, and I'm not a runner, so I apologize. I know tempo is a word. I'm not sure if they use endurance runs, but you want to have, whatever your goal is, you want to have different types of workouts for different reasons. Certain interval rows, which mean you will be up and relax, are great for different things in your body. So difference for your cardiovascular system, a difference for the muscles and which fiber type you are working, and a difference in different parts of rows. So I have people train specific types of workouts to just work on the last 500 meters of a 2,000 meter row. That will look different than let's work on the endurance piece of a 2,000 meter row. So knowing that goal is really important, and that's why. So having different things where you might row for 200 meters, take a 30-second rest, row for 200 meters, take a 30-second rest, might be different than rowing 750 meters, take a rest, 1,500 meters, take a rest. all these workouts have different purposes. So just knowing that going into it, but you can take that 2K time or that 500-meter time and go up and down and base it on, say, 70 or 80% of whatever that pace is. And that can help you figure out different goals for the different parts of a workout or the different types of a workout. So that's one way you can almost work in heart rate training a little bit as well by using a pace. Even if you don't have a heart rate monitor, you can do things like that by using a different scale and using a percent of your effort, basically. So that's one way that you can kind of change your pacing for different workouts. Having a 2K time can really help you go down to the shorter distances or up to the higher distances. So having these baseline row workouts can really help you with your training goals. So I hope that helps. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the Facebook group below, or you can reach out to me on my blog as well. And happy rowing, guys!